begin. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, welcome to Trump Tower. I thank you all for being here today, and especially on such short notice. Today marks a milestone for the sport of mixed martial arts. Many of you were here 2 weeks ago when Affliction announced that they were entering the world of mixed martial arts with their first event, Affliction Band, scheduled for July 19th. This event promises to be one of the greatest events in the history of the sport, with a stacked card of superstar fighters. Never before have so many fighters been together in the same arena and the same card on the same night. 2 weeks ago, in this building, you were introduced to Fedor Emelianenko, Tim Sylvia, Josh Barnett, Pedro Rizzo, Mike Whitehead, Renato Babalu Sobral, Matt Lindland, Fabio Nascimento, and Big Ben Rothwell, the main card fighters for the Affliction Band. Today, the excitement continues with yet another announcement that will rock the fight world, the official announcement of the partnership between Donald Trump and Affliction Entertainment. It is my pleasure to introduce to you one of the heavyweights in real estate, business, sports, and entertainment, Mr. Donald Trump.
Thank you very much, Mike. It's an honor to be here. I really have great faith in the people that form Affliction. I'm a big fan of fighting. I went to the boxing. And as you probably know, last year, Vince McMahon and myself did a little thing called Battle of the Billionaires. Did anyone ever hear about that little event? And in the history of wrestling, according to Vince and according to everybody, that was the biggest pay-per-view ever, the biggest gate ever, the highest rated show ever in the history of wrestling. And we had a lot of fun. And Vince McMahon is a great guy and a really good friend of mine. So I've been around it for a long time. I had more Mike Tyson fights than anybody had, and that was when Mike was Mike. I always when he was the best, and I had many of his fights down in Atlantic City. He did very well with his fights. So I understand the business, but more importantly, I understand partners and partnerships, and the group from Affliction is fantastic. The fighters are great. And when you said Big Ben, and then you went to the last, I thought you were saying Big Ben Roethlisberger, who's a friend of mine. I thought maybe is Ben going to be doing a little fighting? That would be a little fun for us, right? I'm sure the Pittsburgh Steelers wouldn't be happy, but he's a great friend of mine. He's a golfing friend of mine. And so it's an honor to have you at Trump Tower. I really think July 19th is going to be an amazing event. And then we'll have many others after that. The MMA is really something that's happening. It's happening big league. It's happening quickly. I was at the fight the other night in Las Vegas, and I enjoy it. I enjoyed it because Tito was there. Tito, as you know, was on The Apprentice. We gave you the ratings, speaking of, because ultimately it's all about ratings. You can have great fights. If you don't get the ratings, it's irrelevant. And I've always been the big ratings machine. And The Apprentice, as you know, and I gave you the list, became the #1 show on television. Our recent version of The Apprentice, which was actually Celebrity Apprentice, had Tito Ortiz on it. He did fantastically well. He's a great guy. And we'll probably be asking Tito to come along also. We have many great fighters, but we'll be asking Tito to come along. So with that, does anybody have any questions? And also, we're going to have a couple of other speakers, but does anybody have any questions? Yes?
Yeah. Donald, I think this is a great thing. You're always an innovator. How are the rules on this? I'm like an old-time boxing promoter. Is it like 5-minute rounds, 3-minute rounds?
I'm going to let them speak.
Yeah, Tom.
It's actually going to be 3 5-minute rounds.
3 5-minute rounds.
Thank you.
Mr. Trump, what are you going to bring? Hey, Tom, sorry. I'll wait.
No, that's fine. No, continue, please.
Mr. Trump, what are you going to bring to the promotion? I know I've been covering Tom Atencio for a while now. What are you going to bring to this promotion, and what's the long-term plan for Trump and Affliction?
Well, number one, I've got a lot of money. That helps, right? But also, and perhaps more importantly, I seem to get a lot of attention. For instance, if I wasn't here today, you might have maybe one writer, and now the place is packed. And I actually said this room won't be big enough, and nobody believed me. And it's really not big enough. We should have done this down in the atrium. But if I weren't here, all of these cameras wouldn't be here. So I do bring attention. And that's both for better and worse. But I get a lot of attention.
Mr. Trump,
Yes.
Congratulations, by the way, and welcome to the world of mixed martial arts. My name is Mauro Ranallo. I'm with the Fight Network. I was a part of the CBS broadcast last week. I look forward to working with Tom and yourself. When you were approached to get involved, because like you say, you've done stuff with boxing, Vince McMahon, and professional wrestling, what is it about MMA that you think you can help get to the next level? Because we've seen a lot of promotions spend a lot of money and unfortunately not see the reward in the end, except for the UFC right now, and hopefully, we got to see last weekend. So what's the Trump machine going to bring to MMA?
Well, I've been involved in many, many events. Whether it was Tyson against Spinks, that was my event. Tyson against Holmes, Larry Holmes, and I think Larry Holmes, as an example, is going to go. We just had Lennox Lewis on The Apprentice. I think Larry Holmes, we're going to put him on The Apprentice. This coming, the one that comes, it's going to be right after the Super Bowl. We have many great people, and some of them are fighters, actually. We had, as an example, Tito and Lennox Lewis on the last one. I think what we are going to do, and I think what's going to happen, I've watched boxing, and I really watch it go down, and I like boxing. I really enjoy it. I think the beginning of the end for boxing was the 12 rounds. Now, people say, oh, that's not very nice, because who would want to fight 15 rounds? But, boy, I've seen so many fights that were so close, and really imperceptibly close. And if you would have had an extra 3 rounds, they could have been the greatest fights of all time. So for some reason, they decided to make 15-round fights 12, and I think it personally, I think it really hurt boxing. That's me, all right? Maybe people disagree with me, and they say, hey, you don't have to do the fighting. But I think there are things that we can do to make this very, very exciting. And my fights have always been very, even when I fight with business people, I mean, they've always been very exciting. But we do bring excitement to this. And when you see July 19th, it's going to be an amazing evening. We have the best fighters. We have a place that is selling tickets like crazy. And you've probably been hearing that. And congratulations the other night. I actually watched your show. I thought it was very good.
Thanks a lot.
It was very good. Okay.
Mr. Trump, I interviewed Tony Ponturo of Anheuser-Busch a couple weeks ago. He says that NFL has fan interest of 86% and MMA has 77%. It's number 2 ahead of college football and NCAA. With your relationship with NBC, do you foresee an Affliction NBC deal?
Well, I can't speak for NBC, even though I am their biggest star by far. Who would have thought this was going to happen? Being a guy from real estate and I become a star. So I can't speak for NBC. NBC, Ben Silverman, Jeff Zucker, these are great people, great men. They've done an amazing job. And they'll see what happens. I mean, certainly they're going to look. This is new. But I think it's going to be very successful. I love the logo. I love the name Affliction. I love the way it looks. I love the way tickets are selling to the first big event. I think it's going to be very successful.
Now you know the Affliction dress code. Just look at Tom Atencio there. Are you going to?
That's right.
Are you going to?
I don't know if Tom can ever get me into that stuff, but that's okay. It's a big part of it, though. Hey, Tom, say a few words.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Trump,
Thank you, Tom.
on behalf of Affliction Entertainment, and we appreciate hosting this.
Thank you.
Affliction is
Are we
honored.
billing him for the room? I don't know.
No, absolutely. We're honored to partner with Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization in this fight-changing promotion. Absolutely. Affliction is a fashion company, first and foremost. We have been fortunate to have benefited from a tremendously positive customer response to the product and the growth of MMA as a sport. As an early, perhaps the largest sponsor of MMA professionals, we have an obligation to take care of the athletes who we consider members of the Affliction family. They were there for us in the beginning, and now we're there for them. I've had a great relationship with people like Pedro Rizzo, Josh Barnett,